Are you an Emerald player wondering what to do on Wandering Trainers? Are you perhaps a higher ranked player such as Masters or lower such as Gold and wondering how Emerald players play on Wandering Trainers? Well, today you are about to find that out. So let's see what we get here. We get Sentinel, we get Sniper, we get Visionary. So one option definitely screams out to me. It looks like they alt tab. They're definitely going to bunnymuffins.lol/meta to check out all the newest comps. But before the game kind of begins, everyone write down what comp would you go for with this combination of Wandering Trainers or Wandering Golems, whatever you want to call it. And let's just see if we all come to the same answer as this player. And right now, like, they're playing around the Visionary. So Visionary, I don't think is that important. I think the two key ones to focus on here is the Academy and the Sniper. So Sniper could be used in Twitch, although I don't think it's that necessary. One fun thing, okay, great, they're scouting. Okay, someone got Watcher Sniper. We're not going Sniper anymore. One person has Chem Baron and stuff, Scrap. Another person has Academy, but they have Pit Fighter and Bruiser. I'm leaning towards just going Academy at this point. We have a bunch of AP items, or like we have a Rod, and then we have a tank item here. So you could go like Academy, Visionary, Sentinels, maybe add in a Corki there if you get attack damage items. It's just like the classic Academy comp, but you just have a +1. Fun fact about this Golem is that since it has this Sniper emblem, you can move it to the second row if you really want to, because it does have range. Like, you don't need to do it. I don't do it personally. I just leave it up front, but it's some fun thing you can try. So what do you guys make interest here? I personally wouldn't. I'd want to keep the Rel. Rel's going to be very crucial to this comp because she gives you both Visionary and Sentinel. Yeah, don't need that. Don't really need Glass Cannon either. Yeah, Pandora's is fair. I like Silver Pandora's a lot. You pretty much get perfect items. So pop quiz. Add to your comment that you wrote down below already, or like edit the comment. What items do you think are going to be perfect for the Academy comp? Let's see if your answers match up with what's going to be played. So it's actually pretty important here because no one really builds blue buff anymore, but on Heimerdinger, blue buff is by far his best item. So I do something like blue buff, Archangels, and Hextech Gunblade. If you're ever curious on like what the best items are for each champion based on what comp you're playing, it's all on the website, and it's updated like pretty often, so like as much as I can. And here they're going to decide to leave the Negatron and the Chain on the bench. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really think we're going to win streak with this board here. We have 2 1-star tanks and a 2-star Vex. Vex, honestly, she's a good trait unit, like great for Rebels, great for Visionary, but I think she is a little weak when it comes to winning rounds in stage 2. So I personally don't really rely on her that much. I don't consider her a 2-star or like a true 2-star. So there's that. Oh, I did notice they did put a belt on their bench. Yeah, that's a good idea. Keep it for Warmogs. I would have put it on one of my Sentinels out there instead though. But yeah, we could play this. Want to buy the Aurelia. And then probably just keep re-rolling these items. You want tiers. That's the most important component right now. But you could always get it later. You'll get it eventually. Like, we could do a lose streak here. I wouldn't really mind that. Did we have to level up? We probably could have waited a little bit. When I'm doing a fast 8, I generally want to have as much gold as possible. So unless I can reliably get like a decent streak early game or possibly like save a lot of HP early game, I don't really like leveling up that much. And again, I really don't like Vex that much, so I feel like in this specific scenario I probably would have held off on leveling and made the interest instead. But it's okay. It's not like a super costly mistake. Maybe it's like a medium to minor one, maybe like a 3 out of 10 in terms of magnitude. Like 10 out of 10 mistake is like not following my leveling guides or something like that. It's like so simple to do. And then like a 1 out of 10 mistake is like maybe not moving your units or like not scouting or something like that. Something like less consequential. But we get a tier here. You could just slam the Archangels right now, to be honest, because you're going to be playing a lot of frontline units. So when that happens, you want something that scales in the backline. And I think it's worth it to just slam the Archangels here because you're going to get a blue buff later on anyways. The reason why is because you have Pandora, so you're going to get perfect items eventually. And yeah, like Archangels is going to work out pretty decently in the early game because obviously the more items you slam, or the earlier you slam them, the more value you get out of them. So I think you're going to get everything you want eventually anyways. So I'm not too worried about not having the blue buff quite yet. We're facing off against a couple of upgraded units, so gonna lose this round here. Get to kill off a few units though, so not too bad. Probably gonna be a 2, maybe even a 1 unit. Wow, 1 unit loss. Pretty good, pretty good. Perfect loss. So now, in our previous video, we talked about lose streaking and lose streak gold. And I think in this game, you could go for a 5 streak, especially since we took pretty healthy losses. Another thing to consider is that we do have Pandora's items, so based on what you roll, you don't really want to mess around with it too much. Here, I'd take the Smeech to get the tier. You could also take the Leona. That's a very valid option as well. Well, where are we going? The Ezreal? Yeah, you could do the Ezreal too. Ezreal is going to be good because he's an Academy unit, and going for the most expensive unit, or like the unit that you want the most, it definitely does work. Oh, I just realized we just saw the Academy items. It's going to be Archangels, Dragonclaw, and Infinity Edge. So that means we don't actually have to build the Archangel staff because we're going to get it from Academy anyways. So with that in mind, I didn't see this person check the Academy item, by the way. But if they did, good on them, because you should hold off on building the Archangel staff and wait for a blue buff because we already have it. But then I got to ask the question, why did we even keep the Rod if we knew we were getting Archangels anyways? So that is my bad. That's on me, but also on this player here for keeping the Rod when they already have one of the Rod items available. That way you have more chances to get tiers to get the blue buff, which again is probably like the best item on Heimerdinger. So here, could we have done anything differently? Nah, I'd probably keep this board. Pretty solid board here. We could think about playing the Ezreal plus the Aurelia to get Rebel, but not the most important thing. As long as we're making interest, I'm more than happy. Sometimes the gold's a little awkward where you have like 17, so you might need to sell stuff on your board to get there, like the Amumu. But in this game, we are at 20, so yeah, this is perfectly fine. Gonna take another 1 unit loss. This is when you want to scout around for the other players in your game to make sure you lose this next round, because getting that 5 streak is pretty important. I'm not going to say it's going to completely decide the game or anything, but yeah, we want to make interest here and we want to try to get the lose streak. So I'd probably play the Academies and the Sentinels, sell the Amumu. Do you sell Vex? How much gold would we get? Yeah, we definitely want to make interest here. Yeah, just sell the Vex. Who cares? I know she's a Sentinel, but it is what it is. Not the most important thing. Sell the Amumu for sure. Put the belt on the Rel or Aurelia. Ooh, Nashers. Okay. Well, they're going to lose this round because they're facing someone with a Garen for some reason. So Nashers is a good item, but I think since we're losing anyways, we might as well just wait for the tiers, get the blue buff going. Nashers is going to be good in stage 3 because hopefully we stabilize a little bit. But I don't really think this slam was quite necessary, but it's okay. If you're saving belt, I would have saved it for a Warmogs, because you do need a strong front line whenever you play this build. And Alawi, absolute monster with the Warmogs, because you get so much resistances from Sentinel buff, but you need to complement that with health, and the best way to get health is, well, by building a Warmog. So always consider balancing around your items, because wow, we're building a lot of offensive items right now, and we have to build this blue buff, but like we just didn't need that Nashor's Tooth, you know. But let's see what drops here. Always be ready to like slam an item component that you would want. So I'd probably keep like a belt here. Oh, we got Ezreal too. You might want to keep this bow and the sword, then get some Ezreal items. You could build that stone plate. It's not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. It's a pretty good item, but when you're playing a lot of Sentinels or a lot of frontline units, you don't really need something like a stone plate, which is really good on like solo tanks, because you're not solo tanking, you're running like infinite tanks. So yeah, not the best item, but it is slammable. So a lot of people are very greedy whenever they have Pandora's items, and I'd say in the early game you can be greedy, but later on you don't. And if you're trying to like stabilize, definitely just build whatever items you can. And oddly enough, in this game, the person in 8th place just forfeited, so already got a +1 placement, can't be 7th. Pretty funny stuff. Like, yeah, you can't surrender until stage 3-1, so you have to wait till then, and some people do it. So let's look at these augment choices. We have climb the ladder, backup, fire sale. Don't really need backup. Climb the ladder's okay. Maybe I'd take fire sale here. Just get some econ so I could get to level 8 pretty easily. Probably not support mining. Probably not health as wealth. Okay, very nice stuff. So good on that. I probably would have taken that augment too. And let's try to guess what placement this person is going to get based on what we see so far in stage 3-2. So we have Pandora's. We're pretty much getting like very, very good items so far. Pretty good Wandering Trainer in my opinion too. Like getting Academy plus Visionary, this is a great combo because you could play the regular Academy board with Heimerdinger and Sentinel. So you have Heimerdinger and Rel. So that is going to be 2 Visionary, and then you get the +1 from the Golem, and then what if you hit a Malzahar? Well, then you can run 4 Visionary. It's a pretty solid buff, right? I know Visionary isn't the strongest buff ever, but I mean, if you're running Malzahar and Heimerdinger, like your team's going to be doing pretty solidly, you know? And if you're buffing them up with a trade, like it's going to be okay, especially if it's like kind of free, because Rel you're always going to play because it's mainly for the Sentinel, and the Wandering Trainer's free, right? So you can't really be too picky about that, but are able to pick up a dub here. This Ezreal is actually pretty cracked. What I would actually think about doing is moving the Nashor's Tooth onto the Ezreal. I think he's going to be cranking out some deeps, but we look at the side, like Lux is definitely carrying right now, but I would have played around the 2-star Ezreal, but all good. All right, yeah, you could put this in. Can we fit 4 Sentinel in? We have to take out the Swain. I definitely would take out the Swain. Sorcerer, while being like a decent buff, and Conquer, it's like whatever. Just play 4 Sentinel. It's going to get more wins, probably going to be a little bit stronger. Not like the biggest difference in the game, not losing any interest for this, but maybe the Conquer cash out might be worth the price, or like the slight weakness. But always scout around. You have to kind of see how strong other people are before you do this. But for me, I just like to keep it simple. Just play the 4 Sentinels, call it a day, and luckily they are able to win this round. We're going to be killing this Trundle pretty soon, and this person has a lot of scrap items. They're going full scrap. I really like the scrap comp in this patch, but kind of difficult to do. Not because the comp's hard, but because a lot of people are playing Corki, a lot of people are playing Echo, so you can be contested even if no one else is like directly going scrap, because they kind of fit in a bunch of different comps right now. So what unit would you go on this carousel? For me, I just go expensive unit. I prefer a tank item, but I'd probably take the Garen, because a lot of people rely on Garen in a lot of comps, and if they do not get him, they can't play their comp. Something like the Emissary build, any Watcher build, they really rely on him. So I would have probably sniped that. Getting the Elise is okay. Like, we're probably not going to be playing Elise. Could play it for like maybe 1 round, maybe level up, play like Form Swapper with the Elise, but I don't think it's like that important. But Shojin. I mean, Shojin's good, but I would have preferred to see like waiting for a Warmogs or something. Shojin's good if you hit Jace, but I don't like playing around legendary units, because even if you're going one type of comp, I often don't hit them that often unless I have like insane econ, or if I get lucky. And if I get lucky, I'm already happy, and if I have insane econ, I'm already happy. So you don't need to play around it, because getting Jace is already like such a huge boost to your team that you don't really care if you have like suboptimal items for him, or like versus perfect items. Like, of course you do want perfect items on your Jace, but it's not something you absolutely need to play around. So I would prefer playing around the Alawi. We're already having like a ton of Heimerdinger items. And then I'd also build stuff like Infinity Edge on the Ezreal, because I might play Corki if I happen to hit a bunch of Corkis. Corki's kind of optional. You can play him. You could also choose not to play him. It really depends on whether you hit him or not. So there's that. Could we have leveled up last turn? We could have. And it would, oh, speaking of Corki, we have him right here. But unfortunately, the Shojin does not work on him. So always play around 4-cost units. Don't think too much about the 5 costs. I think that's like a noob trap, so to speak. But yeah, overall, this board is okay. I'd maybe play Is the second Swain better or is the second Leona better? Honestly, it probably does not make a difference. So this is what I mean. We probably should have leveled last round. We'd be at 30 gold in the last round. And whenever you can level to level 7 while keeping 30 gold, you generally should do it. And we were on like a 3-game win streak before. So getting that extra unit in, it may have made like a small difference. Like obviously this person still won that round. But if you're going to level up on 3-4 anyways, you might as well just have leveled up on 3-5. I mean, sorry, if you were going to level up on 3-6, you might as well just do 3-5. So that's what I would have done a little differently. It's not the most important thing, but I'd also buy this Corki. I do think this Corki is still usable. You could just play him for... Actually, instead of the Swain, you could have just played Corki. I completely forgot about that. I was judging like, oh, do you want to play like a Leona, a Aurelia? No, we have a Corki in shop. We could just play that instead of this extra Swain. Holy cow. There's a Malzahar just chilling right there. I really hope this person picks up this Malzahar, because if you are experienced with the Academy comp, you'll know that it's really awkward when you're playing regular Academy, you're playing Heimerdinger and Rel with the Sentinels, and then you see a Malzahar in your shop and you're like, I like Malzahar because he's a legendary, but doesn't really give me any traits because I don't want to move up to 3 Visionary, and 4 Visionary is very awkward to play because you have to play stuff like Rel, and Rel kind of booty, right? So this is like a dream come true, and they do end up buying it, so that's good, but they do miss an interest from not selling their shop fast enough or their bench quickly enough, so a little unfortunate. Now the big decision time comes. Do you want to roll on stage 4-1 or 4-2? I prefer 4-2. In this build, it seems like this person's doing this as well, because, yeah, we just don't have enough gold. If we level up now, it's going to cost 30 gold, and we'll have like, or 32 gold, so we'll have 25 gold left for a roll down. You can't really reliably hit that much. Even if we sell both the Swains and the Elise, that's 35 gold, but we pretty much have no board. But here, definitely keep the belt. I still want that Warmogs. Okay, good. They're doing that. If you are playing Malzahar, we could do something a little wacky. You could build a Morello Namicon, and we have Shojin, Nashers, and Morello on the Malzahar, and then you can re-roll this Sunfire Cape into something else, because Sunfire Cape is great in the early game, but then later on the other items kind of outshine it, like the other anti-heal items. They're just like a little better because they hit more units, Red Buff and Morello. So that's definitely very valid. Okay, Lucky Gloves, no. Blazing Soul, maybe. Oh, very quick on the rerolls. I wonder why Lucky Gloves. Are they just going to build a lot of gloves now? I don't really like that. Honestly, I didn't see anything wrong with Call to Chaos. It's going to hit your Heimerdinger or your Malzahar like first, and then like spread to around your team. Call to Chaos would have been probably fine too, a little risky, but I think I would have YOLO'd it anyways. And here we should level up and roll, because it's just that time, you know? It's a great time to hit level 8, great time to be alive as well. So do we want to item remove? Okay, they're doing the roll down now. They waited a little long, so they only have 15 seconds for this. So I don't think they're going to be able to hit that much unless they are mechanical gods, but it does not look like they are. You could roll a little more. Okay, Heimer, perfect. You could always just swap it for the Lux if you're in a bind like that, because you're going to be item removing this Lux anyways. So I do want to correct myself from before. You know how I said I wanted to build an Infinity Edge before? Well, I'm a dummy because it's one of the Academy items. But I still don't like the Shojin, because we still could have played around the Heimerdinger. And like something like a Giant Slayer probably would have been good on him, a red buff, and then re-roll the Sunfire Cape later. Also possible there. But IE, I guess, wasn't 100% necessary. Here we should sell the Swain and this extra Leona. I don't know why we're even keeping this extra Leona. Swain is okay. He's useful like much later, because for some reason this comp runs Sorcerer, Conquer, and Form Swapper with the Jace, but I feel like that's so far away that you don't need to worry about it quite yet. And because of that, like, okay, where are these swaps going? Shojin there. Oh, they want the Gunblade. Yeah, I guess you could do that. Do the blue buff. Okay. Are they fitting in Malzahar? Wait, where'd Malzahar go? Wait a minute. Was Malzahar sold? Oh, no. We could have played Malzahar over this Elise, and then that would have been very nice. And then we sold the Swain anyway, so we lost a couple of gold here and there. It's unfortunate. It happens, you know. Like, We're not perfect players. No one is. But try to keep that, like, try to plan for the future earlier on in the game instead, so you don't have to be overwhelmed as you're doing like a giant roll down. And here, like, do we roll a lot on stage or on level 8 in stage 4, or do we wait to go level 9? So as you get into more difficult games, so as you climb, the need to roll early on in stage 4 becomes higher, because people are going to form like very, very strong boards. And you, Malzahar with glove, oh my god. No, were you AFK during carousel and then miss Malzahar with glove? That is very unfortunate. We gotta wake up. But back to my point before, people form like pretty strong boards on stage 4, so as you get higher and higher, you need to get more used to rolling and spending your gold at level 8, because you won't get away with like playing tons of 1-star units as you get higher. So one thing to keep in mind, you don't have to worry about it quite yet, but it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. So they're going to be doing a slight roll down. See, if I were to roll, I would have rolled most of my gold on stage 4 too. Rolling now doesn't, like, to 50 doesn't really do anything. You might as well just wait and go level 9. So it's like a stylistic choice, so to speak, but you have to commit to one. Right now, it seems like there are too many chefs in the kitchen. The player is either undecided on like, oh, should I roll at 8 or do I go 9? And then they kind of like waited and didn't roll that much on level 8 and then rolled again later on when they should have been maybe like going to level 9. Because yeah, like just do one or the other. Don't kind of be half and half, because now you don't have enough gold to go level 9 with like extra rolls. I mean, you still can go level 9, but it's not as favorable as it was before. Let's see. All right, kill streak's pretty good on Heimer. Oh, okay. It could be comeback story, but I know kill streak got nerfed, but I still think it's pretty decent on Heimerdinger, just because, I mean, you need mana. Visionaries get bonus mana, so what's the worst that can happen? Especially since you don't need to roll your anomaly anymore. So whenever you're playing 4-cost comps or standard leveling comps, you don't want to be picky on your anomaly. I am not saying always pick your first one, but I am saying, like, if there's anything remotely takeable, just take it and then save the other gold or your extra gold to either hit like 2-star 4-cost or to go level 9, because that's going to be more important than getting absolutely perfect anomaly. I do prefer tank anomaly, so that's one thing to kind of keep in mind, but because the game gave Heimerdinger anomalies, like, just go for those instead. If you have Malzahar, it could be argued maybe go for a Malzahar anomaly and roll a little bit for that, but it got sold, so a little unlucky there. We could have sold this extra Ezreal on our bench to get to 50 gold, so we just lost another gold there. So we gotta look at our bench all the time, like this extra Leona and Ezreal. Are you trying to find new Ezreals and Leona to use as like a makeshift Reforger? If so, I'd advise against that. Like, you have enough Reforgers to go around, and you don't really need to find new copies of the units to move things around. That was like a thing of the past. You don't really need to do that anymore. If you're actually going for 3 stars, I'd say like that's not ideal, because those units are not that important to your comp. So both scenarios I just disagree with, but let's see what we get here. Okay, get another Thieves Glove. Yeah, screw it. Just take a random component and YOLO. Roll until you get another TG. So when you play... Here, let's see the roll. See, only like 24 gold on the roll down. Okay, that's lucky. I know they're level 9, but it doesn't happen that quickly normally. All right, this isn't so bad. Sometimes I see people roll like 30, 40 gold very often looking for the legendary, and instead they hit like 2-star 4-cost or maybe a random legendary that like kind of fits in the comp but not the perfect one. It's hard to hit the specific legendary because there's only one of them, right? And the chances of legendary at level 9 are only like 10%, so that's not even that high. But luckily it did happen. You just need the 1-star for now, early on in stage 5. But yeah, we definitely need to sell these other units on the left-hand side. They're completely useless. Like, don't need them. just keep waiting for the glove, for perfect Thieves gloves. And back on my point before, whoa. Oh my God. Why can't I get these rolls in my game? Just like we've rolled what, like maybe 30 gold tops this entire game and hit like 2-star Heimerdinger, and yeah, I don't like this item combination stuff. Like, just wait for the Thieves gloves. But like the Nashers isn't horrible on Jace. He attacks more. It's okay, right? It's not the best item, don't get me wrong. It's like highly mediocre, but again, I'm not too greedy on my legendary items, so I'd rather just get the Thieves gloves for someone else later on. But one thing to keep in mind when you do take the Thieves gloves augment, and now we're losing a lot of gold by not selling this stuff on the left, but when I do take Thieves gloves augment, lucky gloves, I like to have like actual units to put them on, and in this game we have them on Elise. I don't even know why we're playing Elise. It's just for form swapper, I guess, but it's not that important. What are we rolling for? We have 2-star Alawi, 2-star Heimerdinger, so we're literally only rolling for Jace 2-star, or are they looking for Elise 2-star? Elise isn't that important in this comp. It could be literally anyone. I'd actually prefer the Malzahar we skipped and just play the Malzahar because he's a crank and you get 4 visionary, very nice stuff. I'd argue it's more important than the form swapper buff because you're buffing a 1-star Jace. And don't get me wrong, this Jace probably is going to do a lot of work, but like we invested so much in all the other units that I think Heimerdinger and in addition to the Malzahar would carry a bit more, but it's not that big of a deal, but it's just a little stylistic choice. I know someone's going to be like, oh, but Jace did as much damage as Heimerdinger in the damage charts, but that's because Heimerdinger has a gunblade, so it's like a fake damage item, you know? Here, what do we get? Oh, you could get Visionary thing. Could get Warmogs. Would I get the Warmogs here? I might get the... don't really need it. Is there a way to get like 2 tank items or like 3 tank items on this Alawi? We do have a remover and this other thing. Oh my God. There's just a Thieves glove from Pandora's items. Okay. This game is not typical. Yeah, just I like Visionary on Rumble a lot. I think like, what do you even take out? You could just drop Aurelia, to be honest. I know it feels bad to lose Rebel because it gives like percent HP to your Alawi, but Visionary Rumble is really, really strong because he gives a refund on mana when he misses, and Visionary gives bonus mana when you gain mana, so it like doubles up. He's probably one of the best users of Visionary Emblem, so I probably would have found a way to play him. Also, in the late game, you don't care as much about trades as you do with playing legendary units. So if you get like Malzahar 2, Rumble 2, you want to play towards that because it's going to make your comp like really, really strong. Okay, I don't know why we're rolling here. We're 1 off, but we can't even buy the unit we want with these rolls. So I know like it's late in the game, gold isn't as important anymore. So if I count like, oh, you wasted gold here and there in the late game, it doesn't matter as much because it's not as impactful. But we're at 24 life and let's say we hit a Jace here in the shop. What would you do? You know, you'd have to sell the Ezreal on board and then buy a new Ezreal plus the Jace. But is that worth it? Yes, it is, but you have to hit it and then it's still like whatever because you're at 24 life. You could afford to take another loss because you need to win a lot of rounds in a row. So you need to just make your board as strong as possible in the long term, not so much in the desperation short term. I found that pattern a lot. People in the games that I look at for coaching, they panic a lot and they do like big roll downs on stage 4-6, or like when they're not on 1 life yet, they like kind of just burn all their gold before the neutral round. And sometimes you hit, but I think like we need to show a little bit more patience. Then again, Elise could have been hit, but okay, I agree with rolling down a little bit, but not that last roll down. Because Like if we hit Jace and no Ezreal in shop, like we literally can't buy it. So it's like, what's the point? And getting Elise 2 is like whatever, because who cares? She's not like a main component of this comp. So if you do want to do a roll down until you are like one off from affording, or like exact off from affording like the unit you actually want. But let's do the roll down here. Probably should hit Jace around this point, right? Ooh, Victor. Yeah, play that over Lux, I think. Even the Elise, either or. All right, let's pop this item. None of these are really screaming out to me. Yeah, sure. Doesn't really matter that much. All right. Who are they facing? They're facing Kog'Maw, Zeri, 3-star. They had Firelight and Bruiser. What happened to the Watcher Sniper player? Did they not play Sniper? They must have done well. Surely that's the other player, right? Because that's a absolutely bonkers combo. But this Heimer board's doing pretty decently. Rolled Bramble Vest against a Zeri, so that's really nice on the Alawi. I know Lucky Gloves gives like lucky items, but it could have given like a Dragon Claw, you know, so it still got like even luckier, you know? All right, yeah, I'm down to Donkey Roll now because we're last life. Don't see anything. Like, again, I would have preferred playing the Malzahar somewhere because, like, we rolled past a lot of Malzahars. You always have to, like, play with what you get, even if you didn't plan on doing Malzahar. Like, Malzahar is very good in this comp, especially before the Visionary Emblem, but let's pretend that he wasn't and he was only okay. You could still play around that unit just in case you hit him 2-star, because, like, 2-star Legendary is still a 2-star Legendary. And you could always just sell it later anyways, right? So we could have played like 4 Visionary and then sold it if we really hated it. I don't know why you would hate it, but all good stuff. Who are we even facing? Okay, so the Sniper Watcher player didn't make it this far. That's crazy. Maybe they don't know about that comp. Okay. Because you don't need to play Zeri for that. You could play like Twitch with Watchers. You could play like any snipers with Watchers. Like it's just with the +1 trait or +2 trait, since they get both of them, it's just really, really powerful. All right, roll down. Yeah, also need to play around Rumble too. If you're playing a trait and you hit a legendary for it, you like have to find a way to fit it into your comp, you know? Like if you're playing Sentinels, you have to be playing Rumble. Like we could have replaced Aurelia with Rumble and then the Elise with Malzahar, and then our end game screen would be like, oh, wow, so many 2-star legendaries. That's why this person won. You know how people say that pretty often? Well, you have to go for if it's winning a lot of rounds, you have to go for it, right? So if you don't, you're kind of missing out on some free value. Overall, though, I'd say this game was played pretty well so far for an Emerald player. I'd say it looks a lot like the Diamond games we've been looking at. Like, there obviously are still some mistakes that I think could be fixed. Just comp knowledge in general. I'm not too sure how familiar this player is with the Academy comp. Probably need to brush up a little bit on that, or like practice the comp 1 or 2 times a bit more. And just know all the different little pivots you could kind of go. Because it is tricky, because most guys out there, they just do like a quick little cover of like the best version and maybe like one. Oh, let's just get the Jace. That is beautiful. Jace is going to be nice. And then you can put the Shojin on Ezreal. Very nice stuff. I don't like putting items on my Victor. I don't think he does much with them. And like he obviously doesn't get the Shojin effect. So yeah, just put the Shojin on Ezreal. But do we even, what are we rolling for here? Victor 2-star? I guess it doesn't matter. In the late game, like once you reach the point where you can't really roll your gold anymore, can't really reach level 10, yeah, the roll downs, or like the gold you get, it's like whatever, you could just roll it. Like maybe you get like some crazy 6 cost 2-star or something like that. But again, like rolling all the way down to 0, you're not going to be able to afford anything. Even if they show up in your shop, you're going to have to lock it, in which case you lose even more gold. But it's so rare that this mistake is not going to cost anything. So but if you want to like super sweat, like only roll if you could hit actual upgrades. Or you could even save up a lot of gold to go for things like a 3-star 4 cost, for example. Like always think of random ways to win and also like scout your opponents. Like obviously this game he can't go for 3-star 4 costs because he has like no copies of the other 4 costs and also no gold, so it's not going to make a difference here, but it's something to look out for in future games when you are in that like 20% game, when it is possible. Like 2 out of 10 games maybe it's an angle you could kind of look for, because the gold's like useless now. It doesn't matter if you're wasting it, but if there is like some like 1% chance to win the game, if you do something differently, you have to try to play for it, because eventually that game will matter, and you don't want to be that guy who says like, oh, like I forgot to do this and I got second place instead of first place because of it and my opponent won. But yeah, hitting the Jace 2 here, such a big buff. Just get the Warmogs for the, what's her name, the Realm, or actually maybe Static Shiv. Yeah, just put Static Shiv on Victor. It's going to be pretty solid. Get some Magic Shred for your Victor. But we are in stage 7 now. Normally the game ends in like 1 or 2 rounds because you deal like 20 some damage per loss. So I think, yeah, this is just looking like a dub, because they were not even close to winning before, and they are not even close to winning right now. Tons of units still alive. Victor definitely a very solid pickup in the late game. Always find a way to play him. Like, it's going to be better than the 6 Academy in a lot of cases, and getting a nice first. So not too bad for a Wandering Trainer game. I think there are a lot of like minor mistakes, nothing like super duper huge or anything. But if you think of every minor mistake as maybe like 20 LP and you made like 10 of them, that's like 200 LP you could potentially gain after watching this video. But let me know what you all think and submit your games down below if you want to be featured as well.